Oh, it's called members only stream.
I changed that, I thought. I got it.
It'll change the link again.
Will it?
Yeah, because I changed the classroom thing one time and ended the video and started it again.
Well, isn't that going to be a pain? Stay the 23rd?
Oh, yeah, it's the 23rd today. Quite the volume. What's going on? Seems the S&P is dumping a little. Really,
I'll let you cover the S&P since you've been
Nah, I'm just watching it, mate. It's been range bound as hell.
I mean, all you do is cover the range. It's not like we're asking you to do anything too crazy.
Come on, mate. Yeah, it's stuck between the daily open and the previous day high.
There we go. Did it close the stream down? Oh my gosh. All my settings for all my sites are stuck. They're not in dark mode anymore. That's going to be rough.
Now, do you know what you can do? If you're on Brave, you can go into...
I'm obviously not on Brave, though, because Brave didn't transfer over, if you recall. So
you're just not using Brave at all?
I have it installed. It's just my key did not transfer.
Yeah, I'd still use it, though.
I'm using it. Again, the key did not transfer for all my settings. So all these sites I have to log into manually and then reset them because this computer doesn't have them saved because it saves them in your cookies or like your cache on your browser from the other computer. So unless I can actually get...
There's a thing, mate. So if it's called experimental something. I'll find it. I'm just having a look for it. There's like an experimental thing and it's called Force Dark Mode. It's on all Google Chrome, website, like all Google Chrome like browsers, like Brave uses Google Chrome. You can force every website into dark mode. It's actually amazing.
That actually sounds pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie.
Mate, I've got it on everything. I don't ever have to change anything to dark mode, and even things that are white go to dark mode.
That's ideal. I was back tested the
find out how it is.
The pivot.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we're right at the pivot. The level to hold. One level to hold them. We'll let people kind of pile in here before we get started, but I guess I should do something with TikTok, but
you're the TikTok man.
I haven't done anything on TikTok in a minute. Rivalry's on first. Was that you, Rivalry, that opened up that massive long at the top there?
He probably closed his long just as we lost the daily open just then. What a little...
Yeah, daily open, weekly open was kind of a big level. Good morning, Sam.
No, but we lost it before and the open interest was flat. I was thinking someone was building a big position there, then suddenly...
I just needed to go up and... had to go entice some people, man. Oh, it's cold in here.
Mate, are you listening to the stream back, Magic? I can hear it on repeat.
You can hear it on repeat?
Just mute it.
Well, I've got your sound coming out of the...
It may be that one.
Hang on.
Just turn me down a little
bit. What about now?
Hello. No,
is that better?
Myself. All good.
All right. Yeah. No, I had the sound on that stream, and for whatever reason, it wasn't playing. But on my end, Rivalry said, "No, I absorbed all those longs." Good morning, Allison. Sam, is it going to tank 20K? I think that's the question everybody wants to know. We'll talk about it if you want. I mean, that's what we're here to do. I was going to let him cover the order flow since the action's happening. He could go over what just happened here at the high because I was doing boomer stuff while that happened.
All right, ready then. Yeah, so I'm not going to really go over what's happened, because we had the member stream this morning. This morning, I actually did think we dumped. We had a huge amount of longs up here, a lot of liquidity just below these lows. I mean, to be fair, by all means, it could come down and just take that liquidity because you've had a huge amount of longs coming over the weekend and today as well. I really thought we'd go straight down, but no, it looks like they wanted to come up and trap more longs. But then, however, I was pretty confused, I must admit, because as we've come and lost the daily open on the market open for New York, you'll see this candle here. I've got loads of alerts going off as we drop. As you can see here, as we dropped, you had a huge amount. If we go to the 5 minute, it might be more clear actually. You had a huge amount of positions, get forced out. Yet the open interest was flat. So as you've taken these lows here that you can see that were built up from the midday for me, early morning for you guys in America. But for midday for me, as you dropped below that level, which anyone that's put a long in up here, they would have probably moved their stop loss to this level. As you dropped below there, you had a huge amount of negative delta come into the market, and you can see it here. You had 4.1 million market shorts, 1.6 there, and another 500k at the bottom. And yet the open interest was flat. So that tells you, okay, someone's building a position there. So I actually thought after we had that quick drop down and a rise up, I was thinking, okay, maybe they were gonna take us up higher. Clearly not, because you've come up. I thought if we got a back test of this level of the VWAP and held it, then we've really just dumped straight through it. You've got selling imbalances going through it, a lot of longs closing out because that's what's caused the drop. But then again, you look at this here, you've had, which is quite confusing somewhat. You've had 8 million there, 10 million there. That's a lot of positions closing, and they've not really gone anywhere. You've got to think that's 10 million there, and they've not pushed us down a mad amount, considering there's that volume there. It's a difficult one. It really is actually in this point, because on one end, I'm thinking, some big players getting out of a large position there. Hence, the huge amount of volume and negative delta. But on the other hand, they're getting out of a big position, but they've not really tanked the market too much. You got to think in this candle here, what we moved there. I can actually see. I don't think I have it. So we've moved about. So the high of that candle is 290, and the low. So they've moved about $200 in this candle. 78 million volume, and look at that. 8.2 million, 10 million, 4.2. And someone's been trying to hold it up with the buys. There's a big battle going on here, actually. So it'll be interesting to see which way this plays out, whether it's two market makers or rivalry going against someone. I don't know. But yeah, it's a difficult one, if it's not, considering the selling, imagine the selling that's gone on here. 4 million, 3.7 million, another 6 million, 6 million. A lot of money's been closed out in positions there. Imagine if that was over here. Throughout hours, you've had maybe the same amount of volume. If you'd have closed 20 to 30 million of long up here, it would just tank. Whereas it's not, it's only $200 here. It's not. One could theorize that, it's been held up somewhat. Has it or not? I don't know. You have to really wait and see what's going on, because it's a difficult one. It really is. You have to wait and see for more data. You have to see what comes on, what happens now. Because if we claim this level again, okay, if you come back up,
you know what you just tapped, don't you?
What?
You just smacked the caveman to the nuts, man.
I don't have that. Where do you get these cavemans from?
It's in the videos. You should watch the Academy videos, Max. It's right in there, man. $29,902.50 was the level given last night as the secondary level below the weekly pivot to hold, and we just hit it. So
I thought we were going to make a deal. You watch one of my videos, and I'll watch one of yours.
I can't get through your accent, man.
Well, I struggle with yours, mate. Me and Magic haven't watched any of our videos. I've been trying to get him to watch it for so long.
Well, most of the stuff that he knows outside of order flow anyway. He's just picked up on me being ruthless in some of my other groups in the chat.
So where's the
29,902.50.
29,902. 29,902. Like that. Decent. Man, I'm in love with these forks. So this is something for everyone that's not in the group. Some secret sauce for the only for the leading crypto members. So this was the previous day pitchfork. What is a previous day pitchfork? We have to sign up, wouldn't you? Find out. Tapped it here, got a double tap, straight down to the median, up again, and we're down. Bounced at the caveman level that Magic gave us, and come back up, come back down, and retested the fork. Target is now the median if we're playing just the forks alone. And that would also play into the case that, someone's holding us up here. But let's see. I do feel like with the amount of selling that's gone on, and I've got an AC going off in the background, so I'm sorry about that. With the selling that's gone on and the fact that we've not really tanked, maybe we're going to get held up and move to the upside. But I don't know.
Go to the 5 minute and you can see the low that came in during the Asia session, right around 29,998. I think that's the Asia low, isn't it? We just swung fail it.
Yeah, from here.
Yeah, it just swung fail right into that level. That's all it did. And so if that starts giving up, I would imagine we're going to retest the low and maybe make a lower one. But if not, and it holds, kind of like you were just saying, I think you had the weekly and the daily open as like a big level.
Yeah, the daily open is huge all morning.
Yeah, no, that's a huge level. You can see it just by looking at it.
Look,
and that's I think that comes.
All day.
Huh?
If we get up there, okay, if we get up to the daily open and reject at this level, okay, that's when you can start to think, we're going down. But if we claim it again after doing this drop where you've taken out the Asia low, those that trade sessions know that how they interact with one another. If you take one low, you can then go to the highs, and New York's taken the Asia low. And we literally posted that in the group this morning for those that were reading that little essay that I wrote on how sessions trade. So yeah, if we claim the daily open now, it's you're aiming for the daily high, in my opinion. But that's
one of the easiest things to do on sessions, like what's called a tip, is literally just mark the highs and lows of every session.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all I would do. if you're gonna day trade them, that's it. I mean, but you've still got to be able to take trades based on order flow and swing failure patterns, things like that. If you can't do that, then it's not going to bode well for you. It is what it is. You still have to be able to trade, I guess I should say that. But nobody wants to hear that, right? Nobody wants to hear that they still have to
shorts at the lows here, right below that level. There's a huge 3 million shorts, not 5-6 million actually, 7 even.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to let you get on with the Magic because I didn't want to.
Okay. Yeah. Let me share my screen. The new ultra wide, extra girthy screen. It's a good time.
Just the way you like it, mate.
Well, yeah. No. You know what they say, short and fat's where it's at.
Oh, you are short.
Yeah, well, I'm not fat yet.
Good time.
Look at this guy. We got one hater in the group. We got a Chris. I bet that's the guy from the old group on Telegram that was just butthurt the whole time because we told him that he had to do. Yeah, it's Chris. I bet it's the guy who said you bet you were an engineer in your past life. You're such a twat, basically. I bet it's him.
No one's hating.
It's all right, man. Let him have his opinions. He'll be okay.
Did you even read his message?
There's always going to be one, man. You know what I mean? You can't please everybody. So I'll get rid of the daily and weekly open here. Really, really simply put, from last night's update, you really can't be bearish on price action until we've lost. And I'm going to get rid of this line right here. These levels, 29,902.50 and 30,042. Now, you can take trades up here, day trades. And what I had stated was I would prefer downside because the trade is easier to the downside. What I mean by that is there's more obvious trades available. And sometimes the obvious trades don't always equate to being the best trades. That's one thing I will say is you do have to take that with a grain of salt. Just because the trade is obvious doesn't mean it's going to be an easy trade. Doesn't mean you should ignore it because you think it's too common. Kind of like, like this June lows right here that we gave, this level, right? This has been a great level to be trading off of. And it did come back to it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So kind of beat up. And a lot of people would think it's going to break. But if you're watching order flow and trading it, well, you had opportunities to take these longs, and you're not looking to short into support, obviously. So from there, the more difficult trade would be upside from here, because you are at the top of some resistance, and just overhead there's more resistance. I know that's kind of something nobody wants to hear, but so the more difficult trade is the long. You've been gifted a really nice setup right here from the Asia low being taken, but one would have to think that you've got to be watching what's going on in the New York session now and thinking, well, is this still a good trade, or should I be considering something else? If we were to go to New York, which doesn't have a lot of data, which would be what I would like to do, is, well, run it back to the point of control of the range. The problem is this range really isn't that old. You've only got, 2 hours of data here. So you could take profit. I kind of err on the side of caution. I would be taking those and looking for like my VWAPs, things like that, if you were to be looking at that. If you're looking for a swing position here, I guess you could justify it, but stop loss is always a must. You'll never hear us say not to have a stop loss. So that's all I will really say about that. But yeah, you are back up to that daily and weekly open now, getting some resistance there. So in terms of the high time frame in the macro, again, this is the area we're looking for, right? We're looking for it right on time. You've got the same levels that we gave you on the way down. They're all the same. There's nothing really to question. Like, we know where we need to get back above. And I would say 31,200 really is going to be just such a key level. And you can see why, whether it's on volume profile or use other tools, you could turn on your VWAPs here and go to like the input. I'm a big quarterly guy and a big yearly guy, but if you were to turn on like the deviations, you can see your standard deviations are coming in here, which by and large will get priced very well. You can see how well respected these are. And I apologize for the muddy chart. Normally I wouldn't do that to you, but you can just see the confluence that if you can clear this box, this is the resistance to get back above at about 31.2 to 31.7. Hold this as support. Well, one would expect to see a back test of resistance. However, you've got lower highs and slightly lower lows, even working on a potential higher low, but that actually won't come into fruition until, there we go. Until you break that resistance. So again, the long is best played down here at the support. The more difficult trade, if someone was not in one, like let's say you're just a day trader and you clean your slate every day, the more difficult trade from a risk to reward is having to take a long from this region, because it's more of a breakout trade. And I'm not a breakout trader myself. Traditionally, those are the guys that are going to get wrecked. So, but time-wise for this move, very, very simple. We had that on this, and if that is the Chris, I think it is, he was in the very first live where we built this chart, the Doomsday chart. But if you recall, I think it was him that was saying 37K was going to be the level
Magic
that worked.
Read his message again.
Huh?
Read his message again, you fool.
Oh, I know. I'm not reading.
No, read it. Up. And actually use your eyes. Put your glasses on if you need them.
It looks pixelated. Oh, Lordy. Oh, I misread it. It's different, Chris. I'm sorry, Chris. Yeah. Chris, Matt, it hurts deep. Chris, I love you. It's fine. I love everyone, even the other one that hated me. Too much tough love for him. But that said, we are at a point where we have to be considering the support we're at. Even if we were to come back down to this support, this goes hand in hand with what I talked about. I do think there are opportunities here if we revisit the area. To me, that would be the better trade, would be coming back to the lows. And as long as you're not flipping 28,726.50, which we talked about last night, why it's so important. We've covered it in previous live streams as well. You can go back and view those. It's, this is the area to be looking for any kind of a position now. Does it have to work out that way? No, it can go lower from here. And everyone keeps talking about the 200-week moving average, which again, moving averages do serve a purpose. And that one is a pretty high time frame one. For me, this is the area I've had marked off for quite some time though. And I'll show you what I mean by that. It was this chart specifically that I made years I literally over 12 months ago, it was based off of this high, and I just mapped off the top here saying that this would be the local high. And it did go through this box by a little bit, I think. I think it went through the box by, yeah, it went through the box by, it looks like $1,000, which is okay. You know, this is a box that was made back in this region. So if we lose this local low, I mean, you're heading down to here. And this comes into, again, saving the high time frame charts, guys, and making sure that you've got a plan for every situation and you trade it accordingly. So if we start losing the support that we just outlined right here, okay, so same support, same box, it's just on a different chart, then you target the next area, which would be your next structural support, which would, in this case, would be X, right? So, and it would also put you at your macro log scale 382. And yeah, that comes in right here at some statistical levels for us. So to me, this is as simple as it gets. You know, if you're trading it, it's really nice to have, just to have everything lined out in advance and to know what's, not know, but to have a pretty good idea of what's going on, you know. In terms of time, though, we talked about what really gives me the confidence for this is the one-to-one from our prior price appreciation and final move up. It does come in very nicely at the EQ of our fork, which I know some people don't think forks work. I would argue that, well, they just need to join Leading Crypto and learn how to use them. And use them correctly. The real question is going to be if this is the end of the local trend right here, which you can see is well overextended past the 1618. And then we had our much larger time frame, affectionately called the big trend, which we did front run the one-to-one on. So one of those things where it does allow for a swing failure pattern of this level, if given, would actually result in a really nice trade, in my opinion. But, you know, if none of those things hold true and we head lower, one then has to ask, is this all one giant impulse? And we brought this up once before, and that we've come down to the golden pocket of it. And so it would justify the idea that if we lose this area, while this is a target and is support until it's not, you can see where it sits. I draw this over to show it, that on the real high time frames, it would actually put you down in this region, which would be very, very, you know, fitting to come back and back test this whole structure. And this is where you would be looking for that support, give or take, at the one-to-one, somewhere around 12K, which is, you know, not worth talking about until we're there, in my opinion, until we actually foresee that region of the chart. You know, you can't look past where we are. We're at pretty big support, in my opinion. Support I've been waiting for quite some time. So since December. But you have this, everyone's looking at this in terms of a falling wedge. I know I draw them as pitch fans, but, you know, regardless, this is what you're looking at. You could then turn on like your 618 right here, and you can see that's what's holding you back in terms of any type of a Fibonacci. So you'll get a squeeze through here, basically, and eventually that'll break and you'll head to the EQ of this, which does put you up in like that 34 to 35K region, back into that zone we were just speaking about. So, you know, that's all well and good if, you know, that works out, because it would be nice to get that relief rally, as we've had a pretty big dump down, but you don't always get that. And this is really a good evidence of it here. You got it. You did get a relief rally. It didn't go nearly as high as people wanted. What did it not do? At the time, we were looking for 45,555. So this is why I always tell people not to marry ideas just to put them on your charts, set your alerts, and then trade the price action that's given, because you did have a swing failure pattern at 45,555. I think I deleted it. I did. That's okay. We'll redraw it. It was like right here. And you can see we did eventually come back to this level. It was really nice. But everyone was looking for this back test here, including us. We were talking about it. We were talking about it, even if we got this high, that there was an NPOC up here we would like to get filled. I believe it was from, we were looking at potentially like an ABC style correction, but you'd already started this large move down after a pretty, you know, hefty shift. And you can see this is just a straight down chart at that point. And you can go over to like Q4 and take a look and see exactly how straight down it is. You know, this is pretty far down there. So you take the trade that's given up here if you can get in. If you didn't get in, we actually went live for this trade when this happened on TikTok. This was a shark pattern that played out. It was really, really nice. It's called out in group, and targets on it were like 37K. And this obviously came all the way down to those targets. So it was really, really a very nice trade for those that took it at the time. And then, you start your relief rally. This was really the one that got a lot of people. The one thing to note is you just didn't break structure here. You can see you never closed below 36,270. That was the real key level that had been watched. And I think it'll remain key on the way back up. So I'm going to leave it on the chart for now, but not relevant until we break this range. So for me, I am still looking for shorts in this region and buys in this area. I would love to come down to the golden pocket, which does come in below the summer lows, down here at some NPOCs, right? These are the trades that I want to take. It doesn't mean they're going to be good trades, just means that they're areas on the chart that I'm ready and waiting for if given. So that's really all I've got, man. Not much has changed. This is just a lot of sideways chop between an overall range here. You could literally just mark out these levels and just trade this, and it's presented a lot of trades. I know for the day trader, people like Max that live on like the 5 minute, this is ideal price action. Obviously you still have lower highs here, so it does make you wonder if you could get a quick wick up into this. I think we have an untapped daily level up here, and take some of these highs. I think that would be the ideal trade if you were looking for a short. But
daily level, there's also a naked point of control though. As well.
Is there an NPOC up there?
Oh, I think it's a weekly point of control.
I don't have my NPOCs up. Let me double check. I've been doing a really poor job of keeping track of them, to be honest with you, here lately.
Well, if you got my templates,
it would involve me having to watch a video, and I just had.
No, they wouldn't. I've actually not released a video for them.
Oh, I don't think I have all your templates. I've got a couple of them, but this new computer
from the 9th of May.
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, this is a new computer for me and a new setup, and I haven't got everything transferred over yet. So my XO is pretty bare. I just got logged in.
We're live on your channel as well, John.
Are we live on it? It said that it wouldn't be, so I'm down for that. That's fine by me. But yeah, for anyone that's not following CVO then, and you're watching on my channel, you should definitely watch on CVO's as well, and follow both of us, because I'll be broadcasting to both. But no, I have most of your templates. I just haven't, gone through and done that one specifically. So, and that I track the weekly ones on the 40 tick on TradingView, which I'm pretty sure drives you insane. But it's where I've built all my statistics. So for me, it just makes sense to continue to do that for now until I have to go back, right? But for everyone in the group, this week, I do want to go back over pitchforks, and I would like to get some statistics off of these. These are, pitchforks that I draw myself, just a different method of doing them. They're very, very accurate. They're very good, and they're very useful. So you can see here, perfect back test of 1, the level given, 2, the low of the fork, and 3, the EQ just being extra respected. Really, really nice. It provides a lot of good trades during the day. I just need to put a little more statistics into them for averages, which would be, the next daunting task, is running through these several hundred of them and collecting those. So I think Twin made a special request already of, can you dissect it from the weekend statistics? So we might have to do that too. But that's all I've got. You guys were gifted an easy trade this morning here on the Asia session lows being swung fail into the level given last night in the live stream at 29.90250. That's it. That is it. That's all I've got. I'll go through some alts if you guys want, but there's really not much else to cover. We'll look at like Ethereum and stuff, just because that's the main driving one. Everybody wants to know what Ethereum is doing, and so again, a lot of these coins have come down to macro areas. These are levels that were given to you back in March. These are, I can get rid of this additional level at here and here. When I posted, this was the chart that was given. Okay. The other levels are only there if Bitcoin does take that next leg down. You should know what levels are going to be relevant. But in reality, I've not had to change these. These are all levels that I put together through ATAS. I haven't done any other work on this chart outside of ATAS platform. That's it, and some fib work. So these are all levels that won't change for a while, and I'll have to rework them, I'm sure, soon. But yeah, you need to get above 2130. If you can hold 2130 as support, it would probably coincide with Bitcoin holding 31.2 as support. You do that and you can start looking up to the next macro area, which for me does come in, you could potentially just mark this off here at 2342 to 2420, that little $100 window, which I don't like giving a $100 window on an asset like this because, it's 5%, give or take. If I had to guess, it's probably 5%. Yeah, pretty close, like 3.5. I guess that's not too bad. I was thinking it'd be much wider than that. So yeah, you're probably looking to 2342 and 2420 next. If, cooperation is had. Otherwise, you look back down to support, just like on BTC. You look back down to this region, 1730 being the low side of that. So if you got another wick into this region, I think it, again, just like Bitcoin, I think there's opportunity there for another potential buy. The issue with that is there's two schools of thought. Everybody wants to buy again because I doubt that many people got in at these levels. If price is going to pump, it doesn't often give you that secondary chance. You don't often get this type of, this was just an absolute gift for people that were trading back in the summer of 2021. This was really hard to, for lack of a better term, hard to fuck up. You had lower lows here, right, being formed as far as closing goes. You're forming your confirmation low here, and you had a really nice swing failure pattern, okay? But what I mean by this is rarely does price give you this many opportunities to buy at the low of a range again, at a structure. A lot of times when you get, things like this, you'll get maybe 2 chances. You don't get 1, 2, 3, 4 chances, and then obvious clear divergences, massive CVD divergences, absorption of the lows, really nice harmonic that came out of it. Like, you just don't get all that stuff normally. That's like a picture perfect long setup. This one, again, in my opinion, the tougher trade from where we are right now, if you're in no position, is, especially if, I guess if you're a leverage trader, the tougher trade is a long position. If you just buy spot, like, you can obviously mitigate against risk because, it's just not going to hurt as much if you draw down a little bit and you can DCA into that position. Whereas, if you're on leverage, you can't just average into that position in a range that is this large. So you have to kind of take the dink and dunks that we were just talking about, where you identify the key level for the day. You have to lock in some profits at some point, and then, move the stop loss or leave the stop loss and manage the trade accordingly live, because it may not get up here and do anything. I mean, realistically, you could be looking at this in terms of price and just say, well, is it going to actually go anywhere? What is that, 30,446? Yeah. You're back testing the range is all you're doing right now. So again, that's why you have to lock in at least some profit here, because you don't know what the order flow is going to look like when you get up to this region. That's all I would say about that. But that's all I've got. Otherwise I'm just going to be repeating myself. Ethereum, if Bitcoin bounces and Ethereum can do what it's going to do, altcoins are going to go with it. That's really all I'm going to say. And 2130 is that level for Ethereum. Really clean level. There's no other coins that I would watch in terms of that. I know that there are probably requests for coins. If there are, we can look at them, but I don't want to spend all day on these. I do want to let Max get on with the rest of his day for whatever time it is there. There's Scorch. Chris is now at peace. You've been. Poor Chris. Yeah, my bad, Chris. There's a show here in the U.S. called Everybody Hates Chris, so it's fitting. I am going to hop off here, though. Probably do a little bit of trading if presented with any other trades today. And, it looks like you're getting some form of resistance again. We just talked about it. I know that Max had identified it as well. Daily, weekly open. Also pretty much the range low if you're just looking at this section of price. You got to regain that level. It also puts you back above the EQ of this fork, which for us is, for trend, it's a big deal. Yeah. So until that's done, we look to see if these levels will hold. You lose 29,902.50, and I do think that you'll see the low side of the prior session range that closed last night, which comes into that golden pocket. But in reality, I would probably just be looking lower at that point, looking back to these lows here, fill out some of these NPOCs, and then ideally get down to these lows for the best entry. But you don't always get what you want. You have to take what you're given. So if price moves up from here, it moves up from here. You can't really be looking for swing shorts in this area. You can put them on and then manage the trade, but you have to remember where you're at in the chart. You're at pretty big areas of support. So if you're holding shorts from higher, there's been no reason to close them. So I have some shorts that are from up in this region that I haven't closed yet. I've taken profits, but I have not closed them. And I'll start hedging longs in other accounts, like buying spot Bitcoin and putting on some leverage positions here and there. But by and large, just getting some skin in the game to tinker with on the way up if we get some kind of a retracement here, or if we just put a larger range in, it gives me just some extra capital to play with in the range. So that is it. That is all I've got. Hopefully this has been a better picture and sound quality. Someone said it looked a little pixelated. I'm not really sure what I can do for that, outside of going to the settings and playing with it. So I don't think, I guess I should put.
That's why.
Is that why? It's all this stuff was saved, I thought, because it's saved on Restream, this platform we use, but
Farouk says, do you do BNB?
BNB. I have not looked at BNB in a long time. I think I have a chart for it somewhere, but it's probably pretty old. So we could take a look real quick. Be like the real quick one we'll do, and then I will hop off. I apologize. Maybe we'll do a stream later in the week where we just look at altcoins and I take deeper dives into the charts. I guess the easiest way to do it would just be put in Binance and BNB, wouldn't it? Oh man, there's so many here. Would I want USDT, BNB USD? That's what I want. I like the USD versions. I like to know, how long has this thing been around? It's been around for years, hasn't it? Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. We'll do this one really quickly. We're not gonna do a whole lot of work on it, but we'll do a little bit. I don't trade BNB. I'm not into BNB. I am personally one of the advocates. I don't like Binance, for whatever that's worth. I know that doesn't mean anything to anyone, but I've just always avoided the exchange. There's just too much fuckery, so to speak, in my opinion. So, oh, you did take the low here, didn't you? What quarter is this? This quarter 2? Yeah.
Isaac, mate, you do my head in a little bit.
What's he saying now? I know
the pixelation is due to a swing failure pattern fault.
He's always got something to say, doesn't he?
He's trying to pick me apart.
Yeah, you don't. This one, if you can put in a low here like you can on Bitcoin, you might be able to get a range out of this, which would be really nice. But you got to think, you've taken the quarterly low here, the last really major quarterly low on this, before, I guess this is when Bitcoin made the 65K highs, on this move, right? And so you can see that's pretty reflective here in this wick. If you lose 211, 211 could be a pretty good bottoming point for a while, mainly because if this is not defended and you lose this level on like a material closing basis, so like a monthly or a quarterly in this case, there's really nothing between you and, this is just looking at the chart. There's nothing between you and $33, which no one wants to hear. So I would actually look at this as probably pretty good support. I can imagine there's going to be quite a bit of defense here. So if Bitcoin takes that next leg down, and let's say it takes the dirt road home, and you get those targets that you're seeing from, I think the guy's name is Gareth, or some of these other perma bears that you're finding online, where they're saying, we're definitely going to 12K, or we're definitely going to 9K or 6K. Like, I'm not saying that can't happen. I just think that's getting way ahead of ourselves for right now. And if those situations do arise over time, which I think they would take time, and maybe we get a flash crash, maybe we don't, but I would err on the side of time. This will probably be a pretty quick move. You can see that here. I imagine this is a very large single print in this candle somewhere, because this is a big monthly candle. This is huge. Like, so in 1 month, this candle itself was 700%, and it ended up closing from open to close 374% open to close. That's crazy. What a candle. So if you lose 211, you've got problems. You're realistically looking all the way back up to 428 as your next resistance. I would probably start leaning on this one pretty hard here as well at 303 just to separate it. And now you could probably do this for a local range. And this is very impromptu, and I apologize that it's not as clean as normally I would make something, but it's just to take a quick look at it. This is how I would probably trade it for now. And I would treat it, I would treat this as a range going forward. Because if you get back above these levels, this yearly open right here is technically a quarterly level as well. You can see that right here. So you can see that you settled up right here on the high time frames. It's actually your highest time frame settle up. So if you go out to like a weekly or a daily, you can see it a little better. One could probably move this up and say, well, I'm gonna say that this is the range, but I think it's just a little bit better respected here at the monthly right here. And if we just take a peek at it, yeah, I mean, that gets it well and good. You'd be splitting hairs on how you want to draw this range. If you want it to be, more, volume related, you could say here. Again, it's just showing you that unless you really reclaim $511, which if you did, I would err on the side this will probably make new highs if you can actually live up here above this range, but I just don't think you will. I think you've got to be looking at this as, my next targets are going to probably be, whoa, got all the fibs on this one. I don't know what was going on there, but it's probably going to be this, it's also your golden pocket of the overall move down. Where are we at in terms of local? We haven't quite hit the golden pocket here, which you can see this is a weekly chart. So you do have some old weekly support here. If you got to 428, that would be pretty generous. That would probably involve a good sized Bitcoin pump. But in reality, I do think that, if you're holding 303, you're probably looking up to this old support right here, just where you can see where the breakdown occurred, kind of like on Bitcoin's chart, at around 361 to 371 as the next really area for a potential rejection. And you have to have, that's the range low. Anything above that, and we target the monthly at 428. Perfect. Nice. So I would say 361 is likely incoming. You may front run it a little bit here, but that move's pretty much played out as you did have a nice move off of the Q2 low from 2021 when you actually formed this overall range. And you want to see this continue to range in this area and do something constructive, because if it doesn't, and this starts putting in lower highs, like let's say you do get rejected up here, right? Then you can start to see that your highs are no longer doing anything that you want to see. Like technically this is a high, technically this is a lower high. And you can see that now the lower highs are getting more drastic, right? So you can see they're getting weaker, which does give the bears the ball at that point. Meaning if they can't break this low, right? If you come back to this and you can't break it, and you're forming lower highs, what you're going to get is, probably some form of like a triangle or a falling wedge, whatever it may be. But the reason those patterns actually work is because you are getting to a point where you either have to have buyer or seller exhaustion. So you need to look at it in terms of a range regardless. And if the pattern breaks to the upside, what you're seeing is there are just not enough sellers to break the range. There are too many buyers defending this. A lot of times you can see this on the order flow, and you come back to a level, that's what you're watching for is, where's the open interest, who's building a position, who's defending what level, So one would think that if this was to be bearish, which, you could make that postulation here, because you are putting in your high volume node here, that if you find a rejection here and you continue to live below the EQ of this range, right? So you live down here, and chart's getting very ugly, so I'm going to delete a lot of this. You start living below this EQ right here, okay? So you're down in this region. You have to look at it as phantom at that point, and you have to say, all right, well, the point of control is now shifted down. I'm living below the EQ of the range. I'm putting in a fat node down here at that point. Maybe this starts to look more like a B shape rather than a D shape or a bell shape, which is kind of what you have now. You kind of have a pseudo bell shape, but you really don't want to be down in this area underneath this EQ living, because if you start putting in a lot of volume down there, it's going to start to look like people are selling and that someone's selling a lot of BNB, and that could be the impetus to finally break this down and push it down, kind of like you saw in FTM. FTM is a really good example of this. To the upside, though, again, it offers up a really great area of invalidations, I should say, because if you get above this level and you can avoid doing that, well, you can start to look at this as maybe a larger range overall. And again, a bell-shaped range where you have more even distributions here, where you can see volume does kind of taper off here at the lows of the range, means that it's more likely to be range bound. All that's telling you is that there aren't enough buyers to auction the price higher, and there aren't enough sellers to auction it lower. It just implies that you're going to stay locked in the range a little bit longer. And Max kind of goes into it a little bit. He hasn't done the open interest video yet, but there is some really good material out there on open interest to help kind of give you an idea on locked in range analysis. LRA, I think is as it's called, but FTM, I'll just cover that just to show you what I mean by that real quick. This is one that I avoided solely because of the structure. For anyone that remembers. And it actually went lower than I said it was going to. I said it was going to go to like 40 cents. And I think it topped down to 23.9. And when I said that, I was talking about it up here in this range. I said, one, you can only short up here. And then once we flipped this to resistance, and then I said, well, now we're looking to reclaim the VWAP really, because what we've done is formed a very large selling node right here, basically showing you that someone was really unloading a position, which ended up being true. And then we were just looking to see if this support was going to hold. I said it was support for now, I think was the words that I used on it. Really nice bounce. Where did you come back to? You tested the point of control of that high volume node, which makes perfect sense if you know anything about range trading, right? So what happens in that case, though, is you get further distribution because you never got back above this node. So this is technically, even though it's one range, you should be looking at it as two. You should be bifurcating this and saying, all right, I need to get back above this EQ and get out of this node and start putting in more volume and building it out up here. So what one would think is, if FTM does recover ever, I'm not saying it's a dead project, but there's a lot of people that are saying that already. Let's say it recovers, next bull market comes around, altcoins are doing their thing. The same could be said for Binance. You break back above this node, and I would almost say anything above 208 at this point, which is really far away, really, really far away. Holding this as support, I mean, it's probably going to, once it breaks through this high volume node, it's going to move pretty quick. At that point, you have to be expecting all-time highs, which would be up in this box and then some. And the same could probably be said for BNB at that point. And so BNB doesn't look nearly as bad as this chart does, in my personal opinion. But there are things to be aware of as price is going. So I would highly recommend trading the range for now. On this coin, I would trade the range. You've got the areas you need to get back above, but you really want to see this getting above this golden pocket here around 361. If you don't, and you start really building out the low side of this range with a lot of volume, it's really going to look like someone's building it doesn't look like they're building it. It looks like they've already built it, and now they're just pushing the price down, and there's not enough interest on the buy side to take the price all the way back to the top of the range, which is technically a sign of weakness. It would be referred to as a lower high, to put it bluntly, but it's just a failure to rotate the range, and those are signs of weakness at their core. So especially if they're done underneath those contexts. So you really do want to see this getting above and doing something. It doesn't even have to be productive. It doesn't even have to regain the yearly open and go to these new highs. What it needs to do is just get above this EQ of the range and rotate the range in full, and then continue to trade sideways for now. And if it does regain the yearly open, well, you're probably coming back up to this monthly level. And I imagine the whole market's turned around at that point, and things do probably look substantially different. And we could talk about new highs even at that point. But that is a situation that, again, just like the breakdown, I would trade what is in front of you for now. And if you get either scenario, you're prepared for it. So you're looking to buy in this region until it's no longer valid. stop losses below the lows, withstanding, because if these lows are eventually flipped into resistance, the drop is going to be pretty substantial. I would venture it's going to be, at least a 50% drop out of this region. So you want to see this being a place you can live. All right, that's all I've got on BNB. Hopefully that helped. Yeah, my bad, guys. I didn't realize that it was the pixelation was all over the place. That's my bad. So Farouk, if you have questions, I don't know if you're in the group or not, feel free to shoot them over. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter as well. I'm not going to hang on to the stream too much longer. We've been live for 50 minutes. I know I told Max I would keep it to 20 or 30, which I lied. So yeah. Anything else before we go, guys? All I ask is do me a favor, not only like the video on CVO's page, but make sure you go over to mine and support the channel. We're trying to grow the YouTube side of things. I think you guys would like YouTube more. It gives you guys a little bit cleaner experience, in my opinion. So DW setting up a new PC is a challenge. It was, it's not like a huge challenge. It's just, you have to think all the passwords to sites and all the settings that you have that you would think transfer over, but they don't. And so it's just resetting everything and redoing it. And you don't really realize you have to do it until you log in. You're like, oh crap, that's not set. I got to do it. So I'm going to hop off. And Max did stick around. So anything to add, Max, before we go?
No, all good. Just the sheer amount of longs that have come into the daily open, and it's a big battle going on. Look at the longs here. You've got 40 million, 7 million.
Oh,
and
wow.
They failed to break the daily open. Well,
I saw Rivalry's comment.
Yeah, it's mad, really. And then, there is a large increase in open interest. However, you always have to think on the other end of that increase in open interest and the other end of them buys, it's someone filling a short. Interesting. Someone got out a big long and they're filling a big short by the looks of it with all this, market buys. But yeah, we'll have to see. Have to see what happens if you break. If you want to zoom out, if you say we lose this low, towards the Asia low, let's draw it on again. I did have it up. I had it have it up here. Asia low or claim the VWAP. Either one of them. Yeah. So basically 30k, 30k with a bit of strength, or claim 30,250. Easy as that. Whichever way it wants to break. And I imagine with what's going on now, it'll be pretty heavy, whichever way it goes. But let's see. All good.
I'm hoping it's to the downside so that I can get paid on this short.
What, from this morning? From last night?
I took a short last night. Take profit one at the weekly pivot, and then set my stop loss over the prior, not the prior high, but the one before that. So it's a wide stop. And yeah, so I'm still in that position. It's in profit because it's 30,350 was the entry. So if I get stopped out, I get stopped out. There's been one take profit. I don't really care at this point.
Well, we all know magic stop loss now. Let's aim for it.
Well, everyone's coming for it now. I've let you guys all know. I'll be one of those wreck bubbles very soon.
I doubt it, right? I doubt it with the amount of longs that have failed to take it higher.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to hop off. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks, Max.
Peace.